He rinsed the mug again, even though it was already clean. Water ran over the same white surface, thin and steady. His thumb moved along the rim, slow, careful, as if something might still be there. It never was. He placed the mug upside down on the same folded towel. He waited a moment before letting go. The room did not respond. Morning had already settled in, though it did not look different from the day before. Light spread across the table in a pale strip. It reached the mug first. It always did. The handle cast a small curved shadow that never surprised him. He dried his hands on the edge of his shirt. Then he adjusted the mug slightly, turning it a few degrees to the left. The movement was small, almost nothing. He stepped back and looked at it as if checking alignment. There was no reason to. He sat down. The chair made the same soft sound against the floor. His hands rested on his knees. He did not reach for the mug yet. He let it sit there between him and the light. The air felt still but not heavy, just slow. He had begun waking up at the same time every day. No alarm, no interruption. His eyes open to the same ceiling, the same faint line in the pane above him. He would lie there for a few minutes, listening to nothing in particular. Then he would stand, walk to the sink, rinse the mug. He did not drink from it right away anymore. Some days he held it longer than necessary. Some days he left it untouched until the light shifted away. The mug did not change. It waited where he placed it, solid and quiet. He traced the edge of the table with one finger. Everything seemed arranged. Everything seemed settled. Still, he kept turning the mug, just slightly, as if the day might look different from another angle. He lifted the mug at the same point each morning. Not early, not late, just when the light reached the middle of the table and stopped moving for a while. His fingers wrapped around the handle with a quiet familiarity. The porcelain felt cool at first, then slowly warm as his hand stayed there. He did not rush. He carried it to the sink even when it had not been used. Water ran. A small circle of sound filled the room and faded. He watched the stream hit the inside of the mug, then turned it slightly, making sure the water touched every part. It always did. He dried it with the same towel, folded the towel once, then once more. Some mornings he placed the mug closer to the edge of the table. Other mornings he set it farther back, near the wall. The distance was never dramatic, just enough to notice if someone had been looking closely. No one was. He began measuring time by these small adjustments. The angle of the handle, the space between the mug and the edge, the number of seconds he held it before setting it down. Nothing else shifted enough to matter. He sat across from it longer than before. Outside sounds came and went without drawing him away. A door somewhere closing. A distant engine starting. Footsteps that did not pause near his own. He listened, but only halfway. When the light moved again, sliding off the table and onto the floor, he would finally stand. The mug remained where he left it. Upright. Clean. Waiting for the next morning when it would be rinsed again. He had stopped expecting the day to offer something new. It simply unfolded in the same order. And he followed it, carefully, as if routine itself were something fragile that might break if handled too quickly. One morning, he did not reach for the mug right away. The light had already crossed the table. It rested against the base of the mug, steady and pale. He noticed the delay but did not correct it. His hand stayed on his knees longer than usual. The room felt the same. He stood eventually, but he walked past the table first. He paused near the doorway, then returned as if he had forgotten something important. The mug remained exactly where he had left it the night before. Upright, handle angled slightly to the left. He turned it a little more than usual. The movement looked accidental. It was not. His fingers lingered on the rim. He pressed lightly, as if testing whether it might shift on its own. It did not. The surface beneath it held firm. He carried it to the sink, but this time he did not turn on the water immediately. He held it under the faucet, dry and empty, waiting for a reason. None came. When the water finally ran, it sounded louder than before. He rinsed the mug twice, then a third time. He dried it slowly, tracing the same invisible circle along the porcelain with the towel. A faint reflection of light curved along its side. It had always been there. He sat back on the table, closer to his chair than usual. For a moment, he left his hand resting against it, palm open, fingers barely touching the smooth surface. His shoulders stayed still. His breathing did not change. Something about the distance between him and the mug felt uncertain now. Not wrong, just slightly unfamiliar. He sat down and pulled the mug a little closer. Then he pushed it back to where it had been. The table looked balanced again. The light looked correct. Still, he noticed the space in front of him more than before, and he did not know where to place his hands. He woke up at the same hour. The light had not yet reached the table, but it would. It always did. He walked into the room without pausing and stopped in front of the mug. It stood exactly where he had left it the day before. Handle turned slightly left, a thin layer of quiet resting over it. He did not touch it. He pulled out the chair and sat down. The wood made the same soft sound against the floor. His hands rested on his thighs. The space between him and the mug remained open, undisturbed. When the light finally moved across the surface of the table, he watched it arrive. It touched the rim first, then the side, then it settled around the base, as it always had. Nothing about the mug changed. Nothing about the room asked to be rearranged. He stood and walked to the sink. Water ran, but only over his hands. He dried them slowly, pressing the towel into his palms as if memorizing the shape of them. When he returned, the mug was still there, waiting without intention. He sat again. For a moment, his fingers hovered near the handle, close enough to feel the coolness in the air around it, not close enough to make contact. The distance held. He lowered his hand. The morning continued in its usual order. Light shifting, shadows thinning, faint sounds outside that did not belong to him. He did not measure the seconds anymore. He did not adjust the angle. He did not test the balance of the table. The mug remained slightly turned to the left. He let it stay that way. And as the day moved forward, unchanged and unremarkable, he did not try to guide it. He simply followed, slowly, without correction. Not every day needs meaning. Some days only need to exist. Quietly, without purpose. If you're listening in a calm moment, nothing more is required.